Yo guys, it's AP Maksym, and today, in preparation for the algebra regents coming in only 3 days, we will be discussing graphing trig functions, which will likely be on the test. So, let's start with a trig function. Here is the formula. F of x equals, let's say it's a sine function, so a of sine b of x minus c plus d. And in this function, the variables are as follows. A, or the absolute value of A, is the amplitude of the function. Whether it's sine or cosine determines whether the function starts at the midpoint or the maximum/minimum. The B value is just the B value in the function, but using the B value you can get the period by doing 2 pi over B to get the period of the function. Then C is the phase change, which is how much it moves left to right, and D is how much it moves up or down. So let's say the function is negative 3 sine 3 pi x. For now we can do just minus nothing as a phase change. Plus 3, right? A lot of keys here. But so the absolute value of the A value, which is negative 3, would be 3, meaning our amplitude, or how much the wave goes up, this is the amplitude, is 3. Then our B value is 3 pi. So to get the wavelength or the period value for the function, you can do 2 pi over 3 pi, which gives us 2/3. So the period value is 2/3, so from here to here. And then this value is how much it is up and down. So on a graph like this, the midline, which is 3, would be up 3, so it would be like here, right? Or actually it's better to draw the midline as a dotted line. So it's like this. Then the amplitude is 3, so it would go like up to 6, and down to 0, and then back up like this. And then this would be 2/3. And that's how you graph this example. And just to go over for cosine functions, if the A value is negative, so if it's negative A cosine something, then the graph, it would start at the minimum, right? So it would be like this basically. And if the A value is positive, A cosine like this, the graph would start at the maximum, so it would be more like this. And whether the A value is positive or negative matters way more in cosine functions than in sine functions. Because in sine functions, whether it's positive or negative, it still starts at the midline. So here we have a practice problem that asks us to make a cosine function with an amplitude of 4, period of pi, and a midline of y equals negative 2. First, we need to write it out as a cosine function. So f of x equals a cosine b of x minus c plus d. And the question asks us to have an amplitude of 4, which means we replace this a with 4, so our a should be 4. Period of pi, which we know that the period, in this case pi, equals 2 pi over b, which means we can replace the b with pi, where pi, cancel the pi, and our b is 2. It doesn't ask us for a phase change or moving it left or right, so we don't have a c value. And our d value needs to be negative 2, meaning our final equation will be f of x equals 4 cosine 2 of x, 2 times x, plus negative 2, which is just, minus 2. And this question could have also asked us to graph this, which I think is easier, especially since we're already given the period here. So let's say we have a graph here, which they usually don't give you a scale for because they expect you to make the scale, and they want us to graph one cycle, right? Since the midline is at -2, which is what we should probably graph first, you can graph it with this dotted line. Oh, given that the midline is y equals -2, the amplitude has to be 2 above that, so +2, and then also 4 below that, so -6. Say this is -6, this is +2. And given that it's a cosine function, it starts at the maximum, and we also know that the period for one cycle is pi. So let's say the question only asks us to draw one cycle, so we can have this value be pi. So we can also say that this is where the cycle ends, and in the middle at pi/2 is the minimum. We should also, in between them, put a point here where it crosses the midline, and a point here, which would make our graphing much easier. So here we can graph it like this, and this would be one cycle of this equation. Alright guys, and I'll leave you off with a challenge question. The graph of a sinusoidal function has a maximum point at pi/4(7) and a minimum point at 5pi/4(1). Write a possible equation for the function. And to check your answers, you can paste them into the comments and I'll reply whether it's correct or not. Thank you guys for watching.